Good afternoon, everyone. Let me call to order this meeting of the West Palm Beach Community Redevelopment Agency. It is Monday, August 3rd, 2026, and the time is 2:02 p.m. And we will start with comments from the public. Do we have any cards?
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right, now turn to comments from the dais, beginning with you, Commissioner Fox.
No comments, thank you.
Commissioner Sylvester.
No comments, thank you.
Commissioner Warren.
No comments, Mayor.
Commissioner Ward.
No comments, thanks.
All right, Mr. Rugg, are there any additions, deletions, reorganization of the agenda?
No, Mayor.
All right, we'll go right into item 6.1. Presentation of the West Palm Beach Community Development Agency 2026-2027 fiscal year draft budget for the Northwood Pleasant City Broadway District and Downtown City Center District. Mr. Rugg.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Chris Rugg, Executive Director of the West Palm Beach Community Redevelopment Agency. Pleased to bring you this year's draft 2027 budget that we will discuss as a body. And we do this annually, and this is an opportunity for the board as a body to provide feedback and comments to staff based on the budget that we put together. The idea is that we present this budget to you, and you have the opportunity now to give us all the feedback that you would like on this budget, make any adjustments, and then after this meeting, we will make the set adjustments as directed by the CRA board and bring that back to you all in September at the September 14th meeting, where we will have a final adoption of the budget, as well as a final adoption of the CRA's strategic finance plan. So today we're going to go over do a quick overview just of some general information. And I know most of you know this. It's mostly for those that are watching us at home to talk a little bit about where the CRA gets its authority from, how the budget is broken up. I'll talk a little bit more about the strategic finance plan, why it's important, what's involved in it. Then we'll go into the budget on a little bit of a higher level, but I'll talk about how we formulate this budget, the inputs that go into it, and then from there, I do want to highlight some community policing innovations that I'm very excited about this year. Our police department has put together a really fine program that was supposed to span over several years, but now we're actually able to fund it all in one fiscal cycle, which will make a very large impact earlier and faster than anticipated, which I think is noteworthy. From that point, we'll break down, I'll bring up Ira, who is our fiscal manager. She's gonna walk you through each target area. We're not gonna go through every single line item in the budget because that would take an exhaustive amount of time. What we will do is pull out some of the highlights. I've outlined some items in the strategic finance plan that I believe are noteworthy. But obviously you have the ability to ask any questions that you may see or any other items that are in the budget as discussion topics if you so choose. In each of those CRAs, we have the goals and the budget, which we'll talk about, and then finally we'll wrap up with some questions. I do want to note that at the end of the Downtown City Center budget, we do have Tanika James here from the Downtown Development Authority. Since we are a major funding component of the DDA's budget, annually she brings up and talks about the DDA's work plans, so she will conclude the budget presentation with what is planned for the DDA this coming fiscal year. So jumping right into it, the CRA, we actually have two CRAs. To the left is the North End Pleasant City, the Northwood Pleasant City Broadway District that runs from 59th Street at the very north end that abuts Riviera Beach and the FPL power plant, where that green line is at the top of that map, and runs south down to 15th Street or LA Kirksky that is on the south end. It goes between the industrial area, but then on the east side abuts Curry Corridor, which is where we have some marquee projects happening. On the right is the Downtown City Center District. It's approximately 2.5 square miles in size. and is the larger of the two from a financial standpoint, a much larger budget that we'll talk a little bit more about, but also has 5 key districts that all have very robust activity happening in them that is really promoting great redevelopment and new investment in the city of West Palm Beach. So CRAs were first established back by the state legislature, I believe in 1969, under Chapter 163, and our mission is clear. We need to eliminate slum and blight based on the study that first established the CRAs back in the early 80s and 90s. We encourage private investment through a series of things. Many of our private sector partners rely on us to help either through infrastructure projects or affordable housing. And then from there also is clear language in community policing innovation. The state legislature knew that safety and security was also a big priority in the redevelopment activities, so it allows us to do those items in a very unique way. From there, we take that mission established by the state legislature, and then we develop our strategic plan and budget. And those are based on 3 main inputs. First is existing approved projects and initiatives that this board has approved in the past. Next is department requests. And then finally, the input that we get from the community. And I mean that in the most robust way and broad way, in that we talk about getting community involvement from city commission meetings, CRA meetings, community engagement opportunities that we do on a quarterly basis, surveys, emails, general meetings, and then also one-on-one meetings with neighborhoods, developers, business owners, and the like. And we take all of that and, based on the state statute, formulate the budget and strategic plan that is before you today. So now getting into the strategic plan, why is it important? I mean, we need an annual document that really sort of outlines the goals and strategies so that it's clear, everybody knows what we're working on. We want to make sure that we align with the state statute that governs us. And while we may not fund it in the plan, if it's not in the plan, we can't do it. So we want to make sure that all of our activities are clearly outlined in our strategic finance plan. And it's broken down through goals and strategies that can allow the public to understand how we're getting to the goals that we've set on an annual basis. This is just an example of what one of the pages of our strategic finance plan looks like. This is the Curry Corridor. You can see we have a pretty general goal, and then we break it down into specific strategies that outline a little bit more in detail about how we intend to achieve that said goal. So now onto the budget and the funding, and this is a question that we get regularly from folks in the neighborhood and the community, is how is the CRA funded? So first, let's start with that CRAs are funded based on the millage that is set by the county and the city. Those 2 property tax sources are what is the funding source for the CRA. However, we only are allowed to utilize the increment that has been generated since the CRA was in existence. So for every $1,000 of taxable value, $12.63 at the current millage rate comes to the CRA on the new increment of value that's created. So it looks like this. That original value for when the CRA was established stays with the city and the county. However, all of that new value that's created, that's what makes up our budget. So you take that over thousands of parcels in the downtown city center area and then also in the Northwood Pleasant City area, and that's what generates the budget that we are presenting for you today. We then take those funds, and as I mentioned, we must abide by the state statute, and that starts with spending those dollars within our boundaries and in accordance with our CRA work plan. So now talking a little bit more about the inputs. We would have to make sure that we want to stay consistent with past projects and see them through. So our first input is our existing project and initiatives. And these are things that you're all very familiar with. To the left, as an example, Curry Park. It's very exciting what's happening there. This is an image of the new playground equipment that has recently been installed in that park, and it is moving along. And we're happy to report that that will have a ribbon cutting in the spring of next year around March. But that's just one of many. We also have other projects like our Lot 23 affordable housing property that the CRA owns, and then just general things that we try to do to encourage private redevelopment in the Northwood Village area. Going over to our downtown city center to the right, community policing innovations continues to be a priority that we hear day in and day out. But also we're excited that Tamarind Avenue Phase 3 will begin this year and also complete that project of creating that north-south corridor along the Tamarind Avenue street. Other projects include our affordable housing commitments and other historic preservation projects that have been on our work plan for some time. The second input, and I want to take a moment to thank all of our departments, which the CRA could not do without partnering with many of the departments that we work with day in and day out. So first, starting with City Administration, Administrator Johnson, our Finance Department, Bridget Souffrant, and then also Kevin Volbrick and the engineering team, Jessica Keller, who helps me every day with parking. It's probably one of the most robust questions that we get on a regular basis. Major Colombino and Chief Arahu with the Community Policing Innovations, Jade Green with our Community Housing and Community Development, Leah Rockwell with our Parks and Recreation, Leon Pender with Public Works. Just want to thank them all because without them we wouldn't be able to achieve many of our goals. But this year, these are what the requests came in, and with the exception of the funding for housing and community development, we were able to fund most of these requests, and some of them are spread between the two CRAs. And these are just lump sum requests that staff then has to determine the impact of each area for the Northwood Pleasant City CRA, as well as the Downtown City Center. And then the final input is what we hear from the community on a regular basis, as well as community or our city commission meetings, our CRA meetings, the quarterly meetings, all of the things that I had mentioned earlier. And these are the themes that have come out of those meetings, and we've gathered as much as we can and tried to summarize all of that data into one slide. So I feel it's pretty comprehensive. There may be a few things that are outliers, but for generally speaking, this is what we see in the Northwood Pleasant City area. Really on the safety and security, mostly in that Pleasant City neighborhood, but also the cleanliness, as I mentioned, with the Northwood Village. Moving over to the downtown city center area, a little bit different, but not the themes are still pretty consistent. We want to make sure that we pursue our lighting projects in the historic Northwest. We do have some unique items that we're addressing, whether it's with rodents or illegal dumping that occurs regularly, but still keeping our mission focus on the affordable housing and better infrastructure in and throughout the downtown city center under projects and infrastructure. So based on those three inputs, I do want to just kind of take a moment now to call up Carlos Rodriguez, who is our security manager, Major Colombino from the West Palm Beach Police Department, and Paul Allen from the West Palm Beach Police Department, because this community policing innovation item is being funded unlike any other year. But the reason for that is PD has a really great plan that I'm very excited about and to share, because it will be as they like to say, a force multiplier in enhancing police service and safety and security in our city, primarily in the CRA districts. But they also meet all of those inputs, which I thought was noteworthy. There's very few items in our budget that most of them hit at least two, but there's very few that hit all three. So with that, I'd like to call Carlos Rodriguez up to talk about what the plans are for this year's community policing innovation items. Carlos?
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. Okay, today I would like to talk about what would be the CRA's public safety strategy for the next fiscal year. With that said, I want to talk about the community policy and innovations, which is all the things that we're doing to help the police department to succeed in their job. So the CRA is not a law enforcement agency, but it plays an important role in supporting redevelopment through strategic investments that improve neighborhood conditions, enhance quality life, encourage private investments, and strengthen community confidence. So we accomplish all this. Why? Well, the CRA created the security manager position, which I've been holding for the last 2 years. I'm a accepted practitioner, which is crime prevention through environmental design. We are part of public safety, technology, and infrastructure for the whole city, but focus on the CRA district. That's the part that Paul Allen will discuss in a moment. Enhance private security services. We currently are in contract with Andy Frayne. They are our security partner, not only in the CRA districts, but in the whole city, so we work together with them. Strategic property acquisitions, it's a plan that we designed to fight the situation and crimes that most of the places we have. We've been trying different strategies that are not working, so now we are trying to accomplish it through acquiring those places that had some issues. Community partnership, we meet regularly with the community, and then we listen to them based on their needs. We go out and partner with the police department, private security, and other entities to improve the quality of life. And data-informed planning and evaluation, like this is the time of the technology. So we use all our resources. Our private security contractor gather information from us. And based on that, we evaluate and make changes or propose new technologies for the benefit of our target areas. So depends on the location, we have created strategies that suits the needs of that specific area. For the historic Northwest, we're using the force multiplier, which is using technology to help us to accomplish the mission. So we had the drone unit, we had the e-bike unit with the police department. I'm part of the CCTV governance group. So we designed the whole strategy to see how we can cover the areas where police might not be able to be there at all times. And the sector, which is crime prevention through environmental design, this is how we can prevent crimes affecting the design of the buildings, houses, parks, churches. It works for everything. So on the Broadway corridor, we have obviously the problems that we all know, so I don't need to mention them. But we work very close with the police department to mitigate the impact. They're very visible, so every time we drive through Broadway, we see them daily. But rest assured, we're working with the police department to fix the issues. Norwood Village, we're trying to enhance the visitor experience with our community departments, with communications. We're trying to see how we can make things better for the merchants. We also apply a lot of SEPTED. And then the next fiscal year, we're going to deploy also a lot of technology in the Norwood Village. And the Pleasant City, our emphasis there is to look for the residents, neighborhood stabilization. Right now, we're also deploying our portable CCTV trailers to help, and it's been working. So far, it's been working pretty well. So the security manager position serves as the agency's subject matter expert for redevelopment related public safety, planning, security technology, and SEPTED. So currently, that's the position that I'm working. The position does not perform law enforcement functions or direct police operations. Instead, it helps ensure CRA public safety investments are coordinated, effective, fiscally responsible, and aligned with redevelopment agencies. So since I start here, it's been very beneficial because now we're all working together. I'm part of the quality of life group, I'm part of the CCTV group. So since all the code enforcement, police department, we all start working together, we've seen the changes. Instead of everybody going in different directions, we're all going out to the same north. So part of my responsibilities are manage the CRA's supported community policy innovations, serve as a liaison between the CRA, city departments, West Palm Beach Police Department, and private security providers, evaluate security technologies and emerging best practices, and integrate sector principles into redevelopment planning. In that sense, we are just exploring the possibility to create a sector task force with other city departments, because right now, this is where all the cities are going. So that's going to be the future of us.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. I'm Major Lori Colombino with West Palm Beach Police Department. So I have the boring part of giving you a lot of statistics. But before that, I'm going to start with a few of the programs we have. So we have specialty programs also that supplement our regular programs. Currently, we work often with Carlos Rodriguez, a security manager, and also Annie Fran with Sam and his staff, and the open communications do provide for us to be more open and work together a lot of programs for safety of the community and cleanliness also. So our 5 community programs are community engagement opportunities. We have events that have their youth slams, our book bag giveaway, our reading events, and Pops with the Cops. We have our homeless outreach, which is getting to know the unhoused, not just the homeless, but the unhoused that need assistance, and we offer services. And we're partnering with all of our other city services and county services for that. 1 officer alone is assigned to our unhoused unit. He alone, from October 2025 to July 27th, 26, in those months alone, had contact with 607 unhoused in the city of West Palm Beach and completed field interview cards on 137. Of those, we can't even quantify a number of how many people he's actually helped serve. But he does frequently work with the Eva Mack Center, multiple county programs, including ones in Belglade for families. A step onto that, which has really been wonderful, in 2025, December 3rd to be exact, the mayor and the Chief Arajo signed a PBSO Crisis Response Team MOU. We have 1 detective assigned to PBSO right now that works specifically in the city limits, mostly in our CRA district. That detective drives an unmarked car and has 2 civilian professional staff people with her. 1 is from the healthcare district, who is a licensed mental health professional, a licensed clinician that can Baker Act and do the paperwork if needed to be. And the second one is a healthcare district employee also, a peer specialist to assist with services. Of that, just since December 3rd, this team has handled 116 cases within our West Palm Beach area. Many are referrals from our officers. I'm going to move down to our juvenile unit because we have a slide on Vice specifically. Our juvenile unit, we also have 1 officer assigned in our north end for juvenile. It doesn't capture, his numbers don't capture a lot of arrests because he's picking up TICOs, take into custody orders. Those are mostly juvenile orders that are arrests, but it's specific for the juveniles. Often they're burglars, can turn into shooters, and a lot of thefts. He alone, 1 officer, 612 calls for service, 32 reports, and 159 field interview cards in that same time frame. So I'm going to move on to our big units, our bike unit, which is our e-bike unit. Those are our proactive e-bike officers. You can see in the photo here. We have 2 sergeants and 10 officers assigned to that. Move, yeah, I can move it. So this is going to be out of order how I'm going, just because I started that one. Sorry, guys. But so our e-bike unit, and again, October to July, these 12 officers alone handled 34,197 calls for service. Of that, handled 156 police reports and 621 misdemeanor arrests, 232 felony arrests, 182 crash reports, 1,710 field interview cards, 464 traffic warnings, and 469 citations. This shows how often they are out in the community and the work they are doing. These numbers I'm giving you are not anything to do with any of our patrol officers. These are additional calls for service only. And these numbers are pulled by the names of the officers assigned to this area. Our entertainment district, we had 14,449 calls for service, 409 police reports, 111 misdemeanor arrests, the 59 felony reports, 91 crash reports, 834 field interview cards, 98 police warnings for traffic crashes or enforcement, and 119 citations. The other big thing that we've been doing is targeting our vice unit. We've had a very, very proactive vice unit. And you'll see Stephanie Kano, she's our detective assigned to this unit. One officer, again, alone, although we're doing, how do I even call it? Enforcement activity, we're using larger groups of people. Her alone, 832 CAD calls, which are calls for service, 120 police reports, 107 misdemeanor arrests. That's on both the Johns and the prostitutes. 7 of them are felony. After so many misdemeanor arrests, it enhances to felony arrests. 6 crash reports, 165 field interview cards, 7 warnings, and 2 citations. The addition to all of this, we now have, in March of 2026, we now have a street crime unit again. They are targeting our CRA area. I can't talk about these investigations often because they're often using surveillance and unmarked cars and they're plainclothes officers, but you will, and we've already made arrests in these areas, but you will see the difference in these areas. So although I can't have numbers for them, this unit just started up again. So with that, I'd just like to thank you for your time and for the CRA and for everything they give for the police department. And this hasn't even touched what Paul is about to speak to you on. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for this data, because I think it's important for us to hear data as opposed to anecdotal.
Thank you.
And thanks to your team. We have a couple of questions. Commissioner Fox.
Sure.
Thank you so much. This is really fantastic to have this data, and I think what I'm hearing all the time from neighbors in the historic Northwest is how much of a game changer it has been since we've had the bike unit. So thank you so much for, confirming that, I think what we already knew. But can I ask you, when I look at the numbers that you had on the screen, the different units, like when you talk about calls for service, 34,000 calls for service with 12 people, and then 14,000 calls for service with also 12 people in the entertainment district, how is it decided? That seems like a big disparity of numbers with the same amount of people handling them. Can you talk about, I guess, how is it decided how many people should be in each of the units to cover the calls they're getting?
So that doesn't always make sense if that, so our bike unit, they're a proactive unit, so some of those calls are self-initiated where they're going out on them. They could be shorter calls. They could go to a fight that's 2 minutes long versus an entertainment district that's tied up on arrest for a longer time for service.
Commissioner Warren.
Thank you. Thank you, Major. You spoke about the homeless and the services. Can you please share that information with us or share it with me electronically so that I can look at that information that you...
Of course. This slide you want, or just...
The data again, can you share where it breaks down the amount of people that were served?
Happy to.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ward.
Thank you, and thanks for all the work you're doing. I echo the other comment that my residents are noticing. I was just curious, what rises to the level where they're providing reports versus just responding to the calls? If you could give like an example.
Yeah, if we get a call of a fight, and when we get there, the fight's dispersed, and we don't have anyone to arrest, or there's nobody injured, it wouldn't require documentation in the form of a report. And we have certain statutory requirements. A domestic, we are required to write a report. Anything just proactive. If they go to a call of a prostitute and nobody's there any longer, or a person's there and we do an FI card instead of a police report. So it's still being documented, just not in the form of a police report.
Okay.
It's being documented on the FIC card.
Thank you.
Okay,
I appreciate your time.
thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Paul Allen. I'm the Homeland Security Manager for the West Palm Beach Police Department. The purpose of my brief today here is to provide a highlight of the technology we intend to purchase in FY27, leveraging CRA funds they have entrusted to us. Before I do that, let me give you a little bit of a backdrop how our partnership with CRA is tying into the larger strategy with technology. When Chief Araujo came on board, he had a vision for technology. The right technology, used the right way, is going to be a force multiplier for all our professional staff and officers that are in our department. That I can say with confidence, we are already implementing that vision. And what I'm bringing you today is only a piece of that overall effort. Now, Chief Araujo brought me on board approximately almost a year ago to help set up a Homeland Security Bureau. And a big part of that bureau was technology. As part of that, I've been conducting an extensive assessment of our current technology to understand where we were at so we can understand better where we need to go. And with that, the best way to describe what I found is illustrated on the slide. It was a pile of puzzle pieces. Each of those pieces represent technology that we had at the department. Now, we had some good technology, some dated technology, and some technology that we, to be honest, had to drop. But there was no one major issue with a technology, but rather we didn't have a clear picture of the overall effort. We didn't know how that pieces of the puzzle needed to fit together. We didn't understand fully what we needed to build towards. But I can say with confidence now we've rectified that, and we now have a clear picture in the form of the new PD's technology framework. This framework gives us a clear understanding now how we can implement the chief's vision in order to use funding like CRA to maximize our return on investment to ensure that we are using it effectively and efficiently with the limited resources that we all have in these current environments. And so with this framework, we are now moving forward of using these resources to implement the new technology for FY27. But I would be remiss if I didn't touch quickly on this framework, because now the CRA funding that we're having for technology can now all be mapped to this framework. So in essence, what the framework is articulating now is that all our technology, current and future, falls into one of these three buckets illustrated here in the three corners of the triangle. The first is data management. This is the backbone of all our technology. This is how we store it, how we structure it so our data can be readily used. The second bucket is operations. This is the technology we use to keep our officers safe and be more effective in the field. And the third bucket is investigative and intelligence bucket. This is the technologies that's helping moving us forward to truly being a truly intelligence-led policing. Now, with that framework, we're facing some significant challenges. I believe these challenges are not unique to West Palm, but challenges that every police department and sheriff's office are facing across the nation. I wanted to give you that information for situational awareness. The first of these challenges is the increase in data. We have more of it to manage than ever before. I don't see that plateauing or decreasing anytime soon. The second challenge is the pace of technology. Innovation is moving faster than any one single agency can keep up with. The third challenge is integration. Not all the technology works well together, and as a result, sometimes we have the challenge of efficiency. The last thing is storage of this data. Our data and infrastructure needs are growing right alongside everything else, and the cost of storing this data is skyrocketing. But now, with this framework and the challenges that are before us, we have chosen strategically key pieces of technology this year to head on those challenges. And so, without further ado, let me walk you through quickly those pieces of technology. The first falls in within the operations buckets. I thought a video says 1,000 words here, so let's see if this works real quick. This is a new tactical drone that we're purchasing for our bomb techs and our SWAT teams. This drone is designed to go indoors. What it provides to our officers that are responding to these high-stress situations is critical information. Information that they didn't have before, information where they can make critical decisions. This type of technology will increase our officer safety, increase the likelihood that we will resolve these situations without incident. That's one piece of a technology, very cool. It can go indoors through AC ducts. It's an amazing piece of technology that we're going to acquire and give to our bomb techs and SWAT teams. The next piece of technology, let's see here. Oh, give me 1 second here.
Just get first.
Yeah. Hold on for a second here. Stuck on this slide. Of course, you have to have a problem with technology when you're talking about technology. It's ironic. You're right there. Thank you. Perfect. Oh, it's going back to this again. There we go. My apologies here. The next piece of technology under the operational bucket is enhancing some of our CCTV cameras that we have currently in the city with advanced analytics through AI. This company that we're going with is BriefCam. Some of the tools that we're going to be utilizing today, I'm going to give you a couple examples. One of the tools here, this is an example of a closed case that didn't happen here in the state of Florida. This was video that was taken of a suspected drug trafficking area. This was days and days of video that was collected. What used to take an analyst or a detective hours upon hours, if not days, to analyze, now with advanced analytics, we're able to use that and create heat maps quickly. And if you notice there in the upper left-hand corner, they were able to identify the likely drug house and further that investigation. What used to take days are now taking hours. Another good example of this, imagine where we get information where a suspect is fleeing a scene of a violent situation. All we have is information that the suspect is wearing tan pants and a black shirt. We can type that into the AI database, and it's able to look through all the cameras and identify those individuals. Imagine the capabilities for silver alerts or a lost child in a special event. The sky is the limit here with these AI analytics in our video camera systems throughout the city. This is just but a few examples, but with a limited time, I just wanted to give you that highlight. Moving on now to the next piece of operational equipment that we'll be purchasing is the development of our real-time operations center. These are 3 components that will be built out at the PD. There are 3 physical locations. The first one being our drone operations room where we fly our drones from. In addition, we're creating space to accommodate the future counter-drone operation here in the city. More on that later as we develop that capability for the city. The second is our command and coordination center. This is a conference room with the latest technology and communications to give information to our key decision makers during special events, large operations, or critical incidents. And then lastly, enhancing, giving cutting-edge technology to our real-time crime center to ensure that our officers have the information they need to conduct their operations. Now moving on to the investigative and intelligence bucket, I'm really excited about this piece of technology through the company of Peregrine. What Peregrine does, it takes, again, AI analytics and takes our current investigative databases, pulls that information into the cloud and uses analytics AI-wise and starts connecting the dots and does a massive amount of analysis and pushes information back to the end user that we can exploit and use for investigations and other events. This is what I've heard across the nation of sheriff's departments and police departments that have purchased Peregrine. They're saying this is a game changer for the entire department. In addition, Peregrine is being purchased all up and down the state of Florida to include FDLE. Why that matters to West Palm is through Peregrine, we're able to share critical information when we choose to do so across not only the county, but across the state on investigations, improving our way to solve crimes across the state. And then lastly, on the data management bucket, 2 things from Axon. We're out of storage space when it comes to video, so we're increasing that capacity. And lastly, we're having a new capability where all our historical video that has been collected and our current video will now be transcribed into PDFs, into text. Why is that important? It's because now all our video will be searchable. I mentioned Peregrine is able to pull all our information into the cloud. Now all this video will be pulled in the cloud and will be searchable. I'm excited to see what that will do for cold cases, for new cases, and how to connect the dots. Pending your question, that concludes my brief.
Comment, very exciting, and I think will only enhance the services that you all are providing. So that's very exciting. Good to have you on board.
Yes, sir. Excited to be here.
Any questions, comments? Okay, thank you again.
Thank you. Wonderful. Okay, thank you, Commissioners, Mayor, for just kind of hearing that out. It is a big portion of our budget, and because we get asked about it so much, I thought it's important for PD to share all of that great information. So I want to introduce Ira up now. We're going to go through the breakdown now, starting with the Northwood Pleasant City Broadway CRA. We're going to start there first. And as you can see, we have the 5 targeted areas: the industrial area, Broadway corridor, Northwood Village, Pleasant City, and the Curry corridor. So I thought it's important to maybe call out just what's been going on with some of the values. It's always good to outline some of the data. And I do have one minor discrepancy that during my individual briefings with all of you, I think I mentioned that we had thought we received actual negative growth in the North End. That is not true. So Ira brought it to my attention today when we were going through the final numbers, and we wanted to clarify that. So I did include what is the factual and the factual numbers that we got from the property appraisers. So we did not have negative growth. We had double-digit growth. It was 11.5%, not what was mentioned during the individual briefing. So I do want to call that out because that was discovered this morning when we were finalizing the presentation. So the values for the Northwood Pleasant City area did total $800 million in new value that is in that North End. With new construction valuation, that number did not change. We still had 414, but that is that's really great news because when we looked at the 5-year averages, it actually exceeded the downtown city center. So that is great news that the North End is moving very aggressively in the right direction of redeveloping and stabilizing the tax base. Couple of other items that I wanted to note primarily, which is the Broadway redevelopment. That solicitation you'll be hearing here shortly, the 3 finalists, so that was a good noteworthy effort. And then of course, couldn't be remiss without showing a beautiful picture of the spruce, which is actually in the running for, I believe, an award with South Florida Business Journal. So very excited about that project and the affordable housing it's adding. Next slide, Ira. Okay, so now getting into the actual budget, I want to turn it over to Ira, who will walk you through the numbers.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. I'm Ira Gonzalez, the Fiscal Services Manager with the CRA, and I'll be walking you through the numbers of the proposed CRA's budget. So let's get started with revenues. We have a total revenues of $9,785,000, which includes a carry forward fund balance of $968,000. Tax increment revenue from the city of West Palm Beach at $5.5 million. Tax increment revenue from Palm Beach County at $3,083,000, which brings that total to $8.6 million, making up 88% of our total revenue. We also have $110,000 from investment earnings and $52,500 from rental income. Okay, now moving forward, expenses. We have total expenses of $9,785,000, with target area initiatives making up $6.3 million, debt service $1.6 million, our tax increment split with developers $99,000, and our total for operations is $1.3 million. And of that $1.3 million, as you can see, we have $800,000 going toward the innovative policing expense. And that brings our reserves down to $297,000, which is 3% of the overall budget. Okay, so we have our breakdown by target area. So for Broadway, we have 682,000. Curry Corridor, 2.4 million. Northwood Village target area, 1.3 million. Pleasant City target area, 1.2. Industrial Park target area, 70,000. Excuse me. And other target area, 491,000, which brings that total to 6,391,000.
So now we'll break down each target area. And again, commissioners, we're not going to go through each of these items, but a couple of noteworthy goals that you can expect to see some headway on this coming fiscal year is, as I mentioned, we'll have the solicitation finalized this year for the CRA parcels, and we'll begin negotiations with that development company, whoever the board does chooses of those three finalists. And even though this budget may be small, it is still going to get quite a bit of work and resources from a staff's perspective. And then, of course, the other item, which you'll see in the breakdown here in a moment, we're still keeping up with those quality of life matters with our private security systems, which is goal number 6, improving that safety corridor. Ira?
Okay, and here we have the target area breakdown for Broadway. We have 10,000 going toward communication and engagement, 252,000 going toward business development, 400,000 going toward security, and 20,000 going toward infrastructure and streetscape improvements, which brings that total to 682,000.
Moving along into Curry Corridor. Here, it's all about Curry Park and finalizing that project, as well as working with the engineering department where we can, helping them with the extension of Northwood Road. That's another exciting infrastructure project that we're eager to work with Kevin Volbrick and his team on to extend Northwood Road from Dixie Highway to the entrance of Curry Park. And then we're expecting through some of the property owners now are making investments along their properties that are on the east side of Dixie Highway from 15th to 25th. We expect to see some incentive applications come in for those. So that's another part that I wanted to highlight. Ira?
Going toward consultants, we have 50,000 allocation, communication and engagement, 30,000, 20,000 toward business development incentives, and we have a total allocation of 2.3 going toward infrastructure and streetscape improvements, which includes a 1.5 million Curry Park contribution agreement between the city and the CRA. And that brings a total to 2.4 million.
What happened? Okay, Northwood Village. Here, each quarter we do walkthroughs with the merchants, and we do this just to stay on top of many of the items that are in that commercial area of the city. It's a beautiful part where we have lots of businesses, and now with the spruce and the district at Northwood coming out of the ground and being filled with new residents, we want to make sure we stay on top of those items. So under the encouragement of private sector investment, we're doing things you'll see in the budget related to Northwood Road, and that's modernizing and kind of upgrading the pergolas, trash cans, as well as making sure the tree pits are in nice working order. We're also excited as the area grows to start working on some robust parking strategies with Jessica and her team, and that'll be tackling goal number 4. Ira?
Okay, so the Northwood Village breakdown, we have 100,000 going toward communication and engagement, 843,000 going toward business development, 273,000 going toward security, 10,000 neighborhood stabilization, and 170,000 going toward infrastructure and streetscape improvements, which brings a total to 1.3 million.
In Pleasant City, one of our areas where we do regular community engagement meetings with residents there, we'll be working on a continued lighting project in that area, as well as staying on top of the landscaping and, of course, providing those security services for the Pleasant City residents. But also an exciting part is the CRA has a string of properties. There's one more property that we have targeted so that we can acquire it. And the purpose for that acquisition would be to take all of our city properties and then pursue an affordable housing project. So you can expect to see that item, while this just allocates the dollars, that contract will be coming forward to you later this fiscal year. Ira?
Okay, and here we have our Pleasant City breakdown. 20,000 going toward communication and engagement, 182,000 toward business development, 273,000 toward security, and 797,000 toward neighborhood stabilization. And that brings a total to 1.2 million.
Our last target area is the industrial park. And because this CRA has such a thin and lean budget, we do what we can in this area. Last year, we did complete a industrial park study where we were able to understand sort of the environment, the businesses that are there. And so this year, we're just going to build on the findings of that study, which was that businesses really needed better broadband connectivity. So we're going to pursue an initiative to see how we can enhance that connectivity. But this is generally just strengthening the business retention and strategic investment in that area. Ira?
Yeah, so as you can see the breakdown here, this is our smallest target area. We just have 40,000 toward incentives and then 30,000 toward the broadband connectivity, which brings the total to 70,000 for industrial park. And this is our other target area. The breakdown, 55,000 going toward consultants, 85,000 toward communication and engagement, 210,000 toward business development, 90,000 toward security, 51,000 toward neighborhood stabilization, which brings the total to 491,000 for other.
Yeah, and sorry, Ira, if you could just go back. The other just allows us to deploy resources when necessary for those items throughout any of our target areas.
Okay, based on the last commissioner's work session where a millage rate reduction was discussed, we wanted to run some numbers to see what the implications would be to the CRA's budget. So if the millage rate were reduced to 8.0803, that would result in a net reduction of 34,208 starting in fiscal year 2027. We also wanted to see what the impact would be if the proposed constitutional amendment HJR 1-F Amendment 3 were to come to pass. If the homestead exemption increase were to increase to 150,000 in 2027, we would feel the impact in fiscal year 2028, and that would result in a net reduction of 418,967. In the following year, if the homestead exemption were to increase to 250,000, the impact would be 705,000 in fiscal year 29.
So Mayor, Commissioners, want to just take a pause for this CRA and just take an opportunity to ask if there's any questions on this budget, this budget for the Northwood Pleasant City CRA.
Any questions, comments? Okay, proceed.
All right. Okay, now moving into the downtown city center district, where quite a bit is happening. And very excited about this area. As it's no surprise, values continue to reach double-digit growth. We had a new construction. Ira, can you go to the next slide? Mm-hmm. New construction values totaled $271 million, and that continues to just be really great news as we continue to see new projects come online and new projects started in the downtown city center. One thing that I do want to note of some of the project goals and highlights from this past year, as you know, we acquired the Elizabethus site, and just as of the end of June, we have hit the break point where revenue sharing now is triggered with the tenants in that building. So 5% of all the sales that are occurring at 185 Banyan Boulevard is now coming to the CRA in additional revenue that we can count on for the remainder of the year, which is really great news. Also speaking about that, when Frank Navarro, as you all know, is our property and asset manager, he's been talking with the tenants on a regular basis, and it is projected that sales are forecasted to exceed 20 million, which would be approximately a little over $500,000 in additional revenue to the CRA for this year, which is great news. Other items that I think are noteworthy, which you'll hear more about this in the coming months. Dr. Hallstrom's excited to share with you some of the items that we're doing with the Center for Smart Streetscapes. Chase and Trinity will be opening here shortly, and that has new cameras and LiDAR technology, all of which is aimed at helping mobility and real-time applications to help us improve mobility in our downtown.
All right, so here we have the revenue breakdown. Total revenues for Fund 105, 141 million. We have a carry forward fund balance of 60,372,000. We have tax increment revenue from the city at 47,209,000. Tax increment revenue from Palm Beach County, 26,130,000. West Palm Beach DDA, 4,247,000, which brings that total to 77,587,000, which is 52% of the revenues. We also have investment earnings at 750,000, and some lease rental income general, 161,000. Flagler Banyan Square, which occupies Elizabetta's, Bar Capri, and the University of Miami. That's projected at 1.5 million. 314 Clematis Street, 700,000. And then we also have 6.7 million from our 2019 bond proceeds. Okay, here we have the breakdown for expenses. 90,826,000 going toward target area initiatives, which includes 8,945,000 toward the DDA work plan, which Tanika will get into more details later on. We also have debt service, 14,218,000. Tax increment split with developers, 8.7 million. Operations, 13,786,000. Of that 13.7 million, 9,179,000 is going toward the innovative policing expense. We also have reserves for future projects at 11.6 million. And from our bond series 2019, we also have 5,063,000 allocated toward the Tamron Streetscape improvement, and we also have a reserve for future projects of 1.7 million, which brings that total to 6.7 million. Our breakdown per target area, Historic Northwest, 34 million, which makes up 36% of the overall budget. 8.6 million going toward Nora Brailsford target area, 16.8 million going toward Clear Lake District, 11.3 million going toward downtown core target area, 13.1 million going toward Okeechobee corridor target area, 8.9 again going toward West Palm Beach downtown authority, and excuse me, okay, I need some water. And 2.8 going toward the other target area, which brings that total to 95 million.
Okay, so in the historic Northwest, there's the first 5 goals. I feel very confident that we're going to make major headway in these, and that's primarily because of what we're doing, not only with 610 Douglas. There's also a project that we're working on with one of our development partners to create a large grouping of affordable and workforce housing in the historic Northwest. And then also the work that we're doing with the Tamron Avenue streetscape as far as finishing phase 3. So with the affordable housing and the infrastructure, it's also important to note that we're funding some new clean and safe initiatives with expanding block by block into the historic Northwest, where that will receive a very generous budget that will ensure that we stay on top of trash and other items that continuously are important to make sure that the neighborhood reflects the beauty that it is. Ira, can you hit the next one? Mm-hmm. And I do want to make a note, because this is something that comes up regularly. Commissioner Fox, I know that this is really important to you. As we meet with the businesses of in the historic Northwest, and with all the construction and things that are happening, we will have about a little over $500,000 in things that we're going to do to help ensure that folks know those businesses will remain open during the construction, that they have opportunities to coordinate and offer their services, and just overall promotion during all of the growth that's happening there. So that'll involve, some advertisements, some promotions, as well as some public relation initiatives that we have planned. We have a very detailed communications plan with Stephanie and Stella, who's on the team here, so we have a lot more details there. And then, of course, there's several other goals that I won't get into now, but nevertheless, Historic Northwest continues to be the top priority for the West Palm Beach CRA. Ira?
All right, so here is our breakdown for the Historic Northwest. We have $300,000 going toward consultants, $585,000 going toward communication and engagement, $250,000 toward business development, $2.8 million toward the Clean and Safe Initiative, $18.6 million toward neighborhood stabilization, which makes up 55%, and $6.4 million going toward infrastructure and streetscape improvements. And that total comes out to $29 million. And we also have to the left $5,063,000, which is coming from the Series 2019 bonds.
So just take a moment, Ira.
Sure.
There's a lot there, so I'm just going to leave it up for a moment so that you guys can just take a quick look at it. Okay. Moving on to Nora, one of our most exciting districts, the Nora Brailsford Park, Providencia Park area. We'll continue to support the infrastructure and the completion of North Railroad Avenue and the very anticipated hotel. Joe, thanks for being here. And obviously continue to coordinate with Joe, primarily on addressing and ensuring public parking is included in future construction plans. That's beginning to be a growing concern and need in that section of Nora and the Brailsford Park area. Ira?
All right, so we have $1 million toward business development incentives, $7.6 million toward infrastructure and streetscape improvements, which brings a total to $8.6 million, with 88% going toward infrastructure and streetscape.
In the Clear Lake District, this is arguably the most important project in the CRA's portfolio, in that creating that extension of Fern Street to Australian Avenue will have a critical impact on the traffic, mobility, and quality of life in our downtown. But in addition to that, there's over $1 billion worth of new construction planned for the Fern Street, making this extension and that entrance exit in and out of our downtown that much more important. Also, I know Jade Green couldn't be with us here today, but we are looking at how we can help with making the Seaboard train station that state-of-the-art transit hub, which we expect now with that Tiger grant that was recently received for that project, how the CRA can help in the future as well. So very exciting in the Clear Lake District. Ira?
All right, we have $30,000 toward business development incentives, $4,000 toward the Clean and Safe Initiative, $185,000 toward neighborhood stabilization, and $16.6 million toward the Fern Street crossing infrastructure and streetscape improvements, which brings a total to $16.8 million.
So in the downtown core, and this is mostly the eastern side of the downtown area, two goals really stand out. We want to continue the work of Rosemary Avenue North into the historic Northwest. So we have some dollars set aside and the infrastructure project for Rosemary Avenue from Avernia Street to Clematis Street. That's going to be that primary goal for goal number 4. But then also helping with the implementation of our mobility strategies. And this is working with Jessica Keller and the new trolley services that will be deployed here shortly, and continuing to support those areas. Ira?
Okay, so here we have the breakdown for downtown core. We have $100,000 toward communication and engagement, $1.3 million toward business development, $64,000 toward clean and safe initiative, $499,000 toward neighborhood stabilization, $800,000 toward transit operations, a total of $861,000 toward the Flagler Banyan Square, $400,000 toward waterfront park and city commons, and for infrastructure and streetscape improvements, we have a total of $7.2 million, which brings our total to $11.3 million for downtown core.
So staying consistent with the mobility and infrastructure theme, excited that Florida Department of Transportation will be issuing the solicitation, am I right, Kevin, for Okeechobee Boulevard this coming spring. So they have sent us the final number for that project that will enhance mobility for bikes and pedestrian facilities on the north and south side of that corridor, and that's from Fern Street to Tamarind Avenue. And that will just fall in line with our mobility and our mobility plan. And with that, that makes up the lion's share of the Okeechobee corridor.
Okay. We have $26,000 toward the Clean and Safe Initiative and $13.1 million toward the Okeechobee Boulevard Lakeview Avenue streetscape, which brings a total to $13.1 million, with 100% going toward infrastructure and streetscape improvements. And here we have our other target area breakdown. We have $170,000 going toward consultants, $30,000 going toward the Clean and Safe Initiative, $1.3 million going toward neighborhood stabilization, and $1.3 million going toward infrastructure and streetscape improvements, which brings that total to $2.8 million. Again, we wanted to show you all what the impact would be should a millage rate reduction go into effect. So if the millage rate were reduced to the 8.0803 that was heavily discussed at the last commissioner's work session, that would result in a net reduction of $259,820 starting in fiscal year 2027. We also wanted to show you all the impact should the constitutional amendment for the homestead tax exemption increase. So that would go into effect fiscal year 2028, resulting in a net reduction of $1.7 million in fiscal year 2028. And then as the homestead exemption increases to $250,000 in the following year, the net reduction would increase to $3.4 million.
Any questions, comments? Commissioner Fox?
Thank you so much. I just wanted to go back to the Historic Northwest and just touch on a few things. Well, first I wanted to mention that this Thursday, August 6th, we will be having a community meeting at UB Kinsey starting at 6 p.m. And I know that, Chris, that you're planning on going through this a little bit more with the community, but we have been speaking with them over the last year at all of our meetings, making sure that we're getting input. And I think two of the things that I've heard the most have been adding the block by block or some kind of clean team so that they could have something similar to what the DDA provides on Clematis Street. And I think that is going to be really fantastic for the neighborhood. So I appreciate that, that we're adding that in. And also the communications, I think we've heard a lot, we learned a lot from what we saw in Northwood with the road closures, and some of the small businesses had a really hard time making sure that people knew that they were open and how they could get there and any of those other things. So I think adding this communication budget to make sure that whatever happens with Tamarind, we're prepared to make sure that people know the stores and restaurants are open for business, how to get there if there's detours, as well as just communicating, until the Sunset Lounge is open. I think these businesses, especially the ones that we have recently brought in the sticks, they need some extra word of mouth. And so I appreciate that we've added that in too. So those are two of the biggest things I think I've heard from the community, and I'm glad that we are able to accommodate some of those requests. But just also wanted to make sure that people, if they want to hear more, they can come to the meeting on Thursday night. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Any other questions, comments? Cards on this item? We do have one card, Darren Studstill.
Good afternoon, Darren Stutstill, 401 North Rosemary. I just want to make a couple comments in reference to the safety and security Ms. Fox talked about. I just want to thank the staff on that. They've been very consistent. Programs in the Northwest, talking about business development, I'm just going to ask Chris and this board to take a look at it. Those programs that we have, and they've been underutilized for several years. We know, as to be a good coach, you got to make an adjustment. And if we want more doors open in the Northwest, we need incentives to help us there. I think we make it in other areas. When I look at the budget, I look at the NORA district, which I supported. I'm looking at $1 million for business incentives, and I'm looking at the Northwest as 150. I think that's a very disparity, but I think we can work with that. This area has been very underutilized. When you talk about business incentives, I hear economics. Do we want to economic infuse this area? Outside of the sticks, it's been very few and far between businesses opening up. I think we have an opportunity with this budget right now to incentivize those programs, and I just wanted to take a look at that. Okay?
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? All right, Mr. Roog.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to bring Tanika James up to go through the DDA's work plan. That's you right there, right?
I think so.
All right, right.
Thank you.
Just make sure you started.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioner, Tanika James Fayman, Executive Director for the West Palm Beach Downtown Development Authority. Just reviewing our fiscal year 27 budget, some of the things that we can take into consideration based off of survey data and feedback from our stakeholders. Clearly, clean and safe in our downtown is probably one of the #1 priorities. But second to that is the economic development and business support that we provide our district. Placemaking initiatives, public realm, district improvements, communications, trying to control that narrative before it gets out, and then continuing on our partnerships and advocacy and stakeholder engagement. Part of that is also expanding our impact with strategic initiatives within the community. So as we look at those budget considerations, we kind of narrow down to our priorities for the fiscal year 27. Again, economic vitality for our downtown district, public space and experiences, mobility and connectivity, those partnerships and strategic engagement, organizational stability, which is a long-term vision that we're doing right now with launching our 5-year strategic plan, which is the first time we've done it as an organization, which we're launching next month at our board meeting. And then clearly our brand identity, who we are, what we do, and how we do it. Just a quick reminder about our millage rate. So when we were founded in 1967 through 93, we were at 1 mill. And then 93, we increased our mills by vote to 2 mills. As we went into an interlocal agreement with the CRA and city, we reduced our millage rate to 1 mill. The burden of their stakeholders in the DDA district. And then in 2002, we went down to 0.98, and then in 2003, we went down to 0.97. This is just a reminder of our DDA budget timeline. June, we get the tax assessment. July, we begin meeting with commissioners and city officials, setting our millage rate for the second mill, presenting clearly to the CRA board. September, finalizing and adopting our budget, and then our new fiscal year begins in October. We begin our audit in December, and then actually we begin to receive property assessments, taxes from the tax collector in January. And then March, we finalize and do our carry forward budget, and at that time we do an amendment to our budget based off of the carry forwards. So our revenue for this year is projected at less than a 1% increase, and I'll just explain what that means is. In fiscal year 26, we had a little bit of a lesser budget. When we do and finalize our budget and our audit in March, when we do our carry forwards, we make that adjustment, and that's where our total differences come from. So that's why there's only a little bit of a 1% increase in our budget this year. This is just an overview of the last 5 years of our budget, and you can see we've been slowly kind of to reduce our carry forwards, but you've seen a steady increase in our revenue projected based off the assessed value in our downtown district. As you can see, in 2024, we began our agreement with Block by Block, and what that was, we consolidated 3 of our contracts with separate providers into a sole source organization or company, Block by Block, that provided cleaning, pressure washing, and safety for our ambassadors in our downtown district. And so you'll see in fiscal year going into 25 is when we went into that agreement. You also note that most of our focus has been for the last few years, district services and public realm, and I'll discuss what those are individually. Our public realm area is primarily our placemaking programs, our transportation, which is a part of our interlocal agreement, our ambassador program, which you see on the street, and then our community outreach and policing, which is basically our agreement with the West Palm Beach PD, which is the additional detail that we have in downtown. But in addition to that, we have an agreement with the homeless outreach team through the city of West Palm Beach, where there's a dedicated team that is in the DDA district that focuses on the unhoused individuals in our downtown area. So hopefully you'll see some of these smiling faces in our downtown district, our safety ambassadors, our clean team, and that's an image from one of our placemaking programs that we did this past year. I wanted to show you with our block by block team some of the information and data that you'll be receiving. I plan on launching this fall as a new quarterly report that I'll be doing to the city commissioners and the mayor on a status update of our programs and projects that we have. I am excited to announce that we will be officially taking over the cleaning and the pressure washing of the waterfront district effective September 1st, thanks to support from the commissioners and the mayor and also department heads to oversee that as an interim until we can figure out what's going on moving into the next steps. But these are the types of reports that we receive from our block by block team. They're constantly monitored on when they do check-ins with our residential condos, our businesses, the unhoused individuals. Anytime they do escorts or escorts in the evening time, if you feel that you want to escort from your business to your car, we're happy to do that. Or when they assist the police department in regards to EMS or fire calls as well. So all of that is documented and monitored real time. You'll see the residential property check-ins. Again, like I mentioned, all of our ambassadors, safety ambassadors are monitored and documents every check-in that they do within the DDA district. And so this is some of the heat maps that you'll see through the last month, actually, of their check-ins with residential buildings in our downtown area. When we go into our public realm, this is just some of our placemaking programs. We've had 8 key programs that we've done throughout the district. Bacana, our Let's Vive programs. We've engaged more than 6,000 individuals and 60 programs in 11 different spaces in our downtown area. As we look at our public realm budget, you'll see there's a slight decrease of 1%. We've tried to maintain it as flat as possible. You'll see a decrease in the placemaking programs, but that's because we've been able to figure out another alternative to subsidize some of that funding in a different area in our budget. And so this is how it breaks out. More than 50% of our budget for public realm is focused on our ambassador program. District services and operations are the lovely holiday lights that we see on Clematis Street and around the Banning Garage. Our pressure washing and maintenance, landscaping, public space enhancements. There are some times where we replace the doggy bags or trash cans or repairs along our sidewalks that are needed within our downtown district. And then clearly our ambassador, which is our clean team. So you'll see right here, these are BBB stats in regards to some of the hazard things that they do, emptying the trash cans, graffiti removal, biohazard cleanups. I won't go into details of what that is, but they do it, and they are very efficient in when they do it. And so this is just one of those stats that you'll see for the month that we do through block by block. And this is our clean team. This, again, the heat map, as I mentioned before, they are monitored real time on when they're addressing needs and services, particularly in our DDA district. So you'll see there's actually an increase in this budget, and that's due to us adding the pressure washing and cleaning of the waterfront area. We're adding an additional 6 team members to focus only on the waterfront area. We're also purchasing a new Kubota and a specific pressure washing machine that will be needed to pressure wash along the waterfront area. So you'll see that increase of 6% in that particular budget itself. And so more than 50% of this budget is focused on the clean team and pressure washing in our area. Business development, which is a priority for us and a focus of us. Grand opening, exterior improvements, business incentives, and business partnership and support that you'll see moving forward here. These are just some of our grand openings, and we have awarded over 7 incentives with over $120,000 for new businesses in the downtown area. And so you'll see this is actually decreased in the budget of 4%, and mainly just focusing on what we've expenditure this year, but we still have been able to maintain our business partnerships, as you can see, at 125, and that's just working with local organizations to provide services for some of our smaller businesses in the downtown area. In the past, we've worked with 1909 to provide grants for other businesses, for example, like Pioneer Linens, Palm Beach Drumworks, who've needed assistance through marketing or website design. And so more than 50% of this budget is focused on property and business incentives, which is focused on interior improvements and leasehold improvements, electrical, ADA requirements, HVAC systems, et cetera. Our public relations and communications, this is the fun area, advertising, public relations, and cultural programming. This is actually decreased by 5%. We've been able to reduce it based off of removing the retail promotions area. That has been in the past primarily just us providing gift cards and promotions from our businesses to events that we do in the downtown area, working with community events, doing stuff during our holidays. We've been able to kind of dissolve that into or put that into our advertising and remove that line item in totality, but still be able to provide the services. And so you'll see more than 40% of this particular budget is in advertising. And we have two large agreements, one with Channel 25 and one with the Palm Beach Post, which promotes and markets our downtown businesses and stakeholders in the area. Professional services, this is our studies and services, accounting, legal, and professional services. You will see a dramatic decrease in this particular line item because we've completed a lot of the studies and surveys this fiscal year that I wanted to get done. Phase 1 of a lighting study in the DDA district. Phase 2, we hope to launch at the end of this year. We've done our market and survey study, and those results will be coming out shortly. But that's why this particular line item, you'll see a decrease of 10%. So professional services, the largest component of our budget has been legal. We have in the past have a flat rate fee with our legal department. According to our agreement right now, they are able to request an additional funding to support them over this upcoming fiscal year. For the last 2 years, they have been writing off quite a bit of funding in regards to services for us, so we will be probably increasing that service for them with legal. Our legal team is Lewis, Longman & Walker, and we also have a lobbyist that comes out of those legal fees. Operations, you'll see, is our rent, our personnel, general office, equipment programs. That's just the day-to-day activities of operations. And you see there's a slight increase of 2%, primarily due to our rent. We do have an escalator in our agreement right now that's about 3% of an increase overall. We are in the second 5-year term of our lease agreement with additional term, with an additional agreement for, I think, 3 additional 5-year terms with an escalator of 3% per year, which is actually pretty great considering the market of rent right now. And so you can see overall, our operations includes our personnel, which is about 1.2, and our total budget is a little over $11 million. So the majority of our focus has been district services and public realm, as you can see, more than 65% of our total expenditures. And then what's next? These are just some of the programs and projects that are coming up. The phase 2 of our lighting, Sunset Sweats, stakeholder survey that we're sending out in September, coffee festival. Hopefully you all are able to enjoy, partner with us this year and attend that event. Vintage Vibes, which we actually unfortunately got rained out on Saturday, but we look forward to doing that again next year with you all. Storefront enhancement program, which is covering the vacant storefront windows in our downtown area. Increased police presence, which has been ongoing. Our human library, which I know we were able not to do it this fiscal year, but we will be doing it this upcoming year just due to the application process that we have to apply to be a part of that program. And then our placemaking mini grants awarded this past year in January 2027, we were able to actually get a Knight Foundation grant to help subsidize that as well. And just really quickly, I just wanted to show you a recap of some of our projects and programs. questions?
Great video, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to leave that with Tiffany. She did a great job.
But a general comment, it is good to see that I perceive that the level of services provided, the quality of services provided, the level of sophistication of the services is keeping up with the pace of our growth as a city. So I appreciate you all staying on top of that because as our city grows, our downtown grows, it's becoming more relevant. And, you know, Vanderbilt gets here, Cleveland Clinic, et cetera, et cetera. So it's great that you guys are staying on top of quality and quantity of services to the downtown. Commissioner Warren.
Thank you, and thank you, Ms. James. I think that you are doing a great job of helping to keep our downtown vibrant and clean and safe, and that's very important for our visitors and our residents. The community outreach that you're doing, can you talk a little bit more about that? You have $750,000 in the budget for community outreach. What does that include?
So community outreach is several different things. That includes are you talking about in the policing area where the public realm is at? Yeah, so there's two things that we do, or more than two things. Community outreach includes not only our internal communications that we have, that's our owned media that we send out, as you and I have discussed before, kind of controlling that narrative and trying to be a voice ahead of things. So we're focused on that moving forward. But then also working with the homeless outreach team, which we have an interlocal agreement. We're getting ready to renew our interlocal agreement with them in regards to having a dedicated team that is downtown 5 days a week. The one thing I have discussed with the homeless outreach team is to see if we can modify that schedule. So it's still 5 days a week, but it's not only just Monday through Friday. Maybe there's some weekends that we can have in regards to being able to address the unhoused individuals in our downtown area. And then there is the increased police presence that we have downtown, which I know we've spoken about previously in regards to having our police detail on the bikes and visible a little bit more in our downtown area.
Thank you. An additional question,
Follow-up.
Mayor? Thank you. And the pressure washing.
Yes.
So that's a pretty big chunk of your budget as well. So and that's $800,000.
Yes.
And of that, how much of that is contracted out?
So the entire pressure washing is contract. There's 3 contracts that are sole sourced through block by block. That would be the pressure washing, our clean team that you see both in green, and then our safety ambassadors, which you see in blue. Now, moving forward as effective September 1, taking over the waterfront, you'll see the entire DDA district is underneath basically essentially one sole source providing services for the downtown district.
Have you thought of what it would look like cost-wise for that to be done by staff versus contract, or is it?
We have looked at it, but there's insurances, vacation. It would be more costly for us to take it in-house than to do a sole source provider for it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Fox.
Thank you so much. Well, it is a great time to be living downtown and working downtown. Thank you for the updates. I just wanted to ask you something. We talked about it a little bit in our meeting, but every year, no matter how often we talk about it, I will continue to get many questions after the property appraiser letter goes out about the DDA taxes. And so I'm wondering if, for the record, you can just share a little bit more about that in case any of my other colleagues get those emails, that they'll know how to respond. And then also, I know you had mentioned you were going to do something anticipating putting something else out there before we start getting those emails.
So that communication should have went out in regards to our millage rate. I knew it went out about 2 weeks ago in what I consider from the executive director's report, where I announced what our millage rate. So we can legally, officially adopt up to 2 mills. And that is what the property appraiser sends out every single year, that the DDA is adopting 2 mills. It isn't until our final budget hearings in September where we actually put our millage rate at 0.97. We will be putting our millage rate at 0.97, but legally, the property appraiser has to send out that notification that we as the DDA can levy up to 2 mills. We do not levy up to 2 mills based off of our interlocal agreement with the city and the CRA. We will be adopting a budget at 0.97.
Any other questions, comments? We have any cards on this item? All right, thank you very much.
Oh,
for that
thank you.
presentation.
Actually, Mayor, can I mention one more thing today? Since Officer McCarthy just walked in this morning, just right now, we actually also have a program that we've been working with PD on in First Appearance, where individuals that have been repetitive offenders in the downtown district go through the system. We actually had Catherine Ast, who is in our office, attend one of the first appearances today, and we were able to put one individual who is a repeat offender in the system to hopefully get the assistance that he needs for some duration, some time period. So thank you, officer, for giving me a call. I appreciate it. I just wanted to recognize him as he walked in.
Timing is everything.
Yes, it is.
All right. Mr. Rugg, is there any other part of this presentation?
No, Mayor. So just, again, wanted to give the board the opportunity, to provide any additional direction on the budget. Otherwise, you can expect the budget as presented today to be on the agenda for formal approval on September 14th.
Any general questions, concerns, comments on the budget overall? Okay, I think you can proceed.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, we'll now turn to the consent calendar, items 7.1 through 7.6. Any questions, comments on consent? Any cards on consent? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of the consent calendar.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of the consent say aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We'll now turn to item 8.1, resolution number 26-23, approving a First Amendment to the Convention Center Hotel West Palm Beach Agreement between the City of West Palm Beach, the West Palm Beach Community Redevelopment Agency, City Place Hotel LLC, Palm Beach County, and City Place South Tower 2 LLC. Mr. Rugg?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, Commissioners, this is something that I've been personally overseeing as Executive Director of the CRA, in that we received a request from Palm Beach County asking for an amendment to this agreement that was adopted in 2012. So we are bringing this forward for your consideration based on that request. So I'll go over a quick overview of the property and the project as it's with the information that I've been provided, as well as quickly go through the agreement at a high level for what was passed in 2012, and then also what is proposed to be amended per that agreement. I think it's important to note and to highlight some of the economic impact of a second convention center hotel, as it does have some pretty strong benefits as it relates to the city of West Palm Beach. And then, of course, our good friends from the county, Patrick Rudder, who is the Chief Deputy County Administrator, is here with us. He can talk a little bit more about the hotel project and the agreement with Related Ross for that hotel. And then finally, we'll summarize the item and offer the opportunity for you to ask any questions that you have on this matter. So this information was pulled from the property appraiser's website and then also our zoning code. So the location of the project in question is per the property appraiser's 940 South Rosemary Avenue. You may have also heard 900 South Rosemary Avenue. I've seen both addresses used, but this was the official one on the property appraiser's website. Approximately just shy of 2 acres, and is being used as a parking lot, but has the ability to actually take on several uses. Both what's being proposed is a hotel. I do want to just highlight some of the property tax detail because it does get a little wonky, so just bear with me for a moment. This is in the city, the city's CRA district, but it's also in the City Place Community Development District. So what's generated out of the property currently as a parking lot that comes to the city, or that's generated from the city and the county millage, remember I showed you that slide, that's approximately $23,000. And however, because we have the City Place Community Development District that we share that revenue with, approximately 80% of that goes back into that CDD to help pay for bonds and a variety of other things. The CRA retains approximately 20% of that, which is the $4,300 that comes back into our budget annually. So A pretty small amount nonetheless, but it is important to just note that nuance for this parcel. In 2012, when the county was building the second convention center hotel, it is on county property. During the negotiations of that hotel, the Hilton Hotel was proposed to be immune from real estate taxes, and instead, that Hilton Hotel established a payment in lieu of taxes because at the time there were bonds that were in place. And that payment in lieu of taxes for a 34-year period that is outlined in the agreement escalates over that 34-year time frame. And so, but after 34 years, then it's in perpetuity for the remainder of the agreement, which I believe is about 99 years in totality. But rough estimate on the collection for that total pilot payment is about $15.3 million per as the agreement is currently drafted. However, in Section 3, the parcel that they're proposing for this hotel to be built on was outlined to remain on the tax rolls and was not to be immune from real estate taxes, and requires it to remain on the tax rolls for the city and to collect those property taxes. So the amendment that is before you today asks that if the garage land were to be acquired by Palm Beach County, and that is currently the proposal, would be found to be immune or exempt from taxes, and that the 940 South Rosemary Avenue would be removed from the tax rolls, and then any reference to this garage land would be removed from the agreement. And that is the proposed amendment that is part of the resolution today. So going into some of the economic impact data, it's important to note that while over the life of the CRA, there is that 127,000 that is removed. However, this project alone, just in fees and permits, will generate about $5 million to the city in the form of either AIPP, mobility fees, permit fees, and the such. In addition to that, Discover the Palm Beaches in 2020 did a very robust study on this entire project, and they highlighted quite a bit of impact that would come from visitation, the current operations, as well as the earnings impact from visitors, and then also the employees, the amount of revenue that would be generated from employee spending, as well as the new jobs that would be created. And then even furthermore, there was additional economic impact analysis that was done by PFM that shows more specific related to the actual construction of the project, $243 million in investment in CapEx that's capital expenditures into the city, as well as the 80% of the rooms would be dedicated to the convention center at a discounted rate. So these would be generally made affordable to be an additional magnet for visitors into the city of West Palm Beach. And that's really important because those visitors pay bed tax. And when you look at a $3 million annual contribution in bed tax revenue, looking into that bed tax revenue, those revenues support our cultural centers. And that's the Kravis, that's the Science Center, and all of the Norton Museum. I mean, we are the cultural hub of the county, and to see those benefits come in and the city getting the lion's share of those revenues is really important to note as it relates to this project. So with that, I want to invite Chief Deputy County Administrator Patrick Rudder to come up and talk a little bit more about the project. Hi, Patrick.
What's up, man? Commissioners, good afternoon. Mayor, good afternoon. Pat Rudder, Chief Deputy County Administrator. With me also is Eric McClellan, our Assistant Director of Facilities. Two of us, amongst many others, have been involved in putting this together to date. Appreciate a quick opportunity to share with you where we see this going and the great benefits. I look at this as one of the final steps in truly activating the convention center area. And I'm going to skip ahead for a second. We are already in design on the next phase of the convention center, doubling the size. So if you follow a timeline where we are we might find ourselves in a spot about the time this hotel is completed, we could be pretty darn close to breaking ground on expanding the convention center. So when you talk about activating the whole area, and I think Chris had up there the words that were used in one of the previous studies about really activating this zone, this region, this is maybe called the second to the last step before we submit our piece. So it's a big piece of it. 400 more rooms is a significant addition to the area. I think we've all experienced the success and seen the success that the existing Hilton has had through time. A little bit of deal points. The county is committed to purchasing the land, $26 million. Those are our ad valorem dollars that are going into this project on the purchase of it. Purchase would occur at the completion of construction. We're also committing 590 parking spaces from the existing garage that's there to help facilitate and make this project work as well. So I'd like to think that the county has a significant contribution to it. Can't say it enough. It's just such a big supporter seeing what the city's been able to do in this region, downtown region overall, and bringing 400 more rooms at a high-end hotel, being there to support it. We say convention center hotel, but it's there for everything. It's there to support so many of what new commerce is coming downtown into our region, or just our visitors that are out there. Another opportunity, another high-end facility that's available to them. Last piece, and I'm going to go back to it again. This is just one that last step. We've all experienced and seen the convention center work its way up from its start about 20 years ago or so to getting to this point where we're on the cusp now of bringing it fully home. And I almost look at it like the convention center campus. And this is that step, that last piece that will really work to bring that home. So I will get out of the way. Eric and I are available for any questions, but we're really excited and looking forward, and I appreciate your support.
Thank you, and thank you for coming to address us on this matter.
So Mayor, with that, just as a quick summary, staff recommends approval based on redevelopment of the parking lot and just the addition of the hotel fall squarely within the mission of the CRA. In our strategic finance plan in the downtown core, we do have goal number 5, which is the promotion of private development in our downtown. So at this point, I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have on this matter.
Thank you. Mr. Wu, can you go back to slide 5, please? So if I read this correctly, the city is, in effect, giving up, what, roughly $5 million in tax revenue?
Well, so the revenue is based on the calculation of that 4,300 over that period of the 34 years.
Okay.
Per
Do you have a number for if the project, once the project is built, what tax revenue would we be walking away from?
So the tax revenue, if on the improved value, obviously comes out once the building is completed. But I would estimate based on the Hilton's value, it would be approximately $1.1 million annually.
Okay. And these are some of the next 2 categories. The studies from Discover the Palm Beaches and from PFM show some of the benefits if that project is completed, correct? So this is kind of a cost-benefit analysis slide, as I would say. Okay, very helpful. Thank you. Commissioner Fox.
Thank you so much. Well, I want to start by saying I strongly support this project. I strongly support it for all the reasons that were mentioned here, the economic development, the benefits to all of our cultural institutions, the new jobs that will be provided, all the things. This has been many years in the making, and I'm so glad to see that it's starting to move forward. But that being said, while I'm very supportive of the project, I have some concerns about this agreement, because when you talk about the loss, just like the mayor stated, you're talking about what it's valued at now. And the taxes, it's not a windfall for us to get taxes. It goes to pay for the services that the hotel will be using every day, police and fire and infrastructure needs, as the city grows, those are things that we need. You know, looking at November and not sure what that ballot initiative is going to look like, this is not the time that I think we should be so quick to give away the rights forever for these taxes. And I want to understand better why in Hotel 1 we had a pilot where we were having paid in lieu of, and there's no discussion of that. Now, I understand that the Hotel 1 will still continue to get that, but I want to understand why we didn't ask for that for the second hotel.
So the amendment was proposed as is, and the communication from the county was that the revenue was needed in order to make the project financially feasible. And so it was asked, but they declined and said this is really the amendment we need in order to get the project out of the ground. So the initial payment in lieu of taxes was really generated out of the need based on the bonds at the time of 2012. We had outstanding bond revenue that was needed to be repaid back. And so that's what really generated the payment in lieu of taxes, was because of those outstanding bonds that were in place in 2012.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I'm concerned when the public statements I have read from the county say that they have a guarantee of at least $1 billion to possibly $7 billion. So, which is fine. I'm not looking for the city to make a profit on this, but I also don't want our taxpayers to have to subsidize it either if there's, you know, this kind of significant increase that should be coming to the county. I'm not sure why it should fall on the city. I think if we're looking at them donating $26 million to purchase the land over time, we will be well more than $26 million of investment from the city. So I want to see this project moving forward, but I think it needs to be a little bit more fair for our residents as well. Thanks.
Mr. Rook, do you have a number, maybe Mr. Rutter has a number for how much you're putting in to double the size of the convention center and any other improvements the county's making?
We're estimating at least $200 million on the expansion of the convention center.
That's out of the coffers of the county, correct?
There will be tourist development dollars, many other things, but we've begun that work as we speak.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Commissioner Ward?
This is actually for the county, Chris, not for you. If I could ask Patrick another question. So obviously with some of the funds coming in, the impact, I think that, you know, I agree with Commissioner Fox in the sense that it impacts our fire and our police, but also traffic. And so given that, you know, we do want to work with the county, and I think our relationship is stronger even, you know, the fact that you guys are working with Jennifer Ferriel, and she was a great asset at the city, and I'm sure now in helping us kind of, you know, build the bridge together between the county and the city. What are the plans as regards to the impacts from the county perspective on, you know, what you would be investing towards traffic along Okeechobee and helping us, because it is an impact and it's our city that feels it?
Nope, understand. I'll give you a couple points. We've all benefited from appropriations for adaptive signal technology on Okeechobee. We're doing the first 2 phases will be live early in 27, first few months of 27. So a new method for trying to move traffic faster in that area. We've already put that out to we've already issued the contracts. So that work has begun. Another thing is been a great collaboration with the city. This body, we're sitting as a city commission, you adopted the mobility fee, our interlocal agreement. We don't charge impact fees anymore. The city keeps 80% of their mobility fees, so that all goes to you to implement your mobility plan. So we're not collecting that anymore. That's for the city and to stay in this area. Last, do not disagree with you. Someone who drives it pretty much every day. I think, considering we're about to bring on 375,000 square feet more, this discussion would be best placed to really focus when we're before you, and we're already going to be working with your staff soon on traffic, moving pedestrians back and forth across Okeechobee and other places. We'll have an idea then of what our footprint looks like, end result, traffic estimates, timing, things like that in an end condition, as opposed to maybe doing it in stages. So those would be the 3 points I'd make to address your point.
I think another thing to keep in mind is that, unlike the county, the city's not paying out anything. We may be waiving the right to receive tax revenue, but if this building isn't built, we're still back at the 3,000 or 43,000 or something a year that we've been getting if it's just a simple garage. So it's not as if we are stroking a check to this project and not getting anything in return. It's a matter of whether we realize any tax revenue from a project that is yet to be built and may not be built if we don't have some skin in the game. Commissioner Warren.
Thank you, Mayor. I think that even if we're not writing a check, foregoing taxes indefinitely is still an impact. Chris, has an independent financial analysis been conducted to show what that impact is to the CRA and the city over the life of this arrangement, this agreement?
The only item that in the PFM economic impact analysis is the potential value of the hotel. And so they extrapolated the potential value over the current millage rate, which was around $1 million annually that, that could be generated out of the hotel.
President Peduzzi.
I'm really excited that this is coming to fruition, that, you know, we're looking at bringing another hotel that will support larger conventions. We're talking about expanding the convention center. I'm torn, though, because I would like to see something more upfront for the city, but at the same time, with regard to tax, you know, the tax revenue. But at the same time, the city is also going to benefit from this more than any other municipality in the county. We're going to see huge benefits in bringing so much more convention business here to West Palm Beach, which is going to benefit our businesses, our restaurants. It's just going to be huge, I think, for the city. But so I won't stand in the way of that, of this proposal. But I would like to see, as my colleagues have suggested, it would be nice if the city could also see some potential future tax revenue or something up front in lieu of that taxes like we did with the first. But as I said, I'm not prepared to vote against this tonight just because of that, but ideally I'd like to see something like that if it's possible.
Commissioner Warren.
Thank you. Thank you, President Peduzzi. And I agree. I think that having a convention center, having a hotel that is attractive and invites people to make West Palm Beach their destination, I think that's absolutely what we want to have happen. My concern is that that we are foregoing tax revenue on this indefinitely, but I do support the initiative. It's very important to have hotels that would be able to sustain larger events, but also having the traffic and the resources that are available for those larger events as well, because that is going to absolutely impact police and fire, as well as the clean team and everything else that goes downtown to support our clean and safe environment.
Any other comments from the dais? We do have a number of cards. I'll read out about 4 names at a time. If you could start making your way toward the podium. Andres Ochoa, Heather Andrews, Milton Segara, and Sergio Piedra. Andres Ochoa. Is he here? Okay.
Good afternoon, Mayor James and City Commissioners. My name is Andres Ocho. I'm a downtown West Palm Beach resident, and I work in commercial real estate. I thank you for the opportunity to speak today in support of the amendment to the convention center, but also very curious on how adjustments will be made to meet what every one of you have said today. Both professionally and personally, I have a strong understanding of our downtown's growth and trajectory. I see firsthand the demand of well-planned developments and the importance of projects to strengthen our economic base while enhancing the vibrance of our community. There is no secret that the Palm Beach County Center needs an upgrade. It needs to fulfill the demand that is coming into our city, and we need to help the constraints that it puts and the disadvantages when it comes to competing for larger conventions and events. Opportunities that bring significant economic activity and visibility to our city. As a commercial real estate perspective, this proposal is a strategic investment in our city's future, not only addressing the existing infrastructure gap, but it also increases and creates a rippling effect that benefits us all. While there may be concerns about the modest reduction in property taxes and revenue, I believe that the long-term return far outweighs the short-term consideration. This position puts West Palm Beach in a very competitive and growing status to capitalize on opportunities and benefit for the entire community. And I believe that as those benefits come in, our community needs to receive them as well. There needs to be a fair exchange in what happens in the city, and not just for one side, but for all sides. Our city has been intentional and forward-thinking in its planning, and this is the project that is consistent with our vision, I believe. As someone who lives and works here, I believe this is the right project at the right time with the right conditions. I respectfully encourage you to support this proposal and continue to invest in the city of West Palm Beach, but at the same time, keep in mind that our city comes together with all groups of people, not just one type. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Heather Andrews.
Well, Mr. Mayor, good afternoon. We are Milton Segarra and Heather Andrews
Okay,
from
you don't
Discovery.
sound like Heather to me, but okay. You want to go first?
We're gonna use, instead of 6 minutes, 3 between the two of us. So it's gonna be a quick comment from us.
Why don't you go for 3 and then she could follow up with 3? How's that? That's
Thank
the way
you,
we
sir.
normally do it. Okay.
Thank you so much, Mayor James and Council. Milton Segarra, President and CEO of Discover the Palm Beaches. We support this project, and we would like to explain why. We've been the destination marketing organization for Palm Beach County for 43 years. We're in charge of promoting the brand and positioning the Palm Beaches as a world-class destination. In addition to that, we've been the agency that is selling the convention center in conjunction with the different hotels and the convention center team. We have met several times with you, Major, the office, and we have a phenomenal working relationship. And we believe this project will create and will complete a very specific goal of the destination. And this is why the rooms are necessary. We took the decision to elevate and position the Palm Beaches, and obviously West Palm Beach, as a top 10 destination in the small and medium-sized convention centers. In order to do that, you need 2 things: the product, the experiences, but also in this particular market segment, you need rooms. Rooms in the vicinity of the convention center. If you don't do that, you discourage the attraction of business to come. And this is why this additional 400 rooms will provide the destination a competitive advantage to really position the destination, and specifically West Palm Beach, as a top-tier destination in the small and medium size. We've been doing this for 43 years. Last year numbers, we had 10.7 million visitors, total economic impact of 11.7 for the city of West Palm Beach, Mr. Mayor and Commission. Last year, we have 1.4 million visitors that came here. In total, the number of rooms in the downtown area is close to 1,900 rooms. So that's very important, because when you add those 400, really will give us the opportunity to keep selling this. And that maybe, as you were asking, Commissioner, about if we're not receiving X amount of dollars, which I totally understand. I urge you to consider the opportunity that the growth that this will bring to the local economic businesses will create additional revenue for the city of West Palm Beach. Heather Andrews, please.
Ms. Andrews.
Good afternoon, Mayor, and to the City Commissioners. My name's Heather Andrews, and I am the Vice President of Destination Stewardship and Civic Engagement with Discover the Palm Beaches. We are judging and making sure on a regular basis annually about resident sentiment, and we're excited to share that in West Palm Beach, the residents care about tourism and they know that it increases vitality of life. And for us, that's important, having our residents at the same level as our visitors and thinking about those strategic strategies. So it's great to welcome those 10.7, but we know that is a heavy lift on the 1.5 million visitors, 1.5 million residents of Palm Beach County. So for us, that civic engagement and understanding how we approach visitors and residents at that level. But we know that the city of West Palm Beach is well positioned to advance into its next chapter of tourism and economic growth. Expanding this hotel room inventory with the Convention Center District is essential to meeting the evolving needs of the meeting planners, event organizers, and the broader business travel market. The economic benefits of this project will extend well beyond the Convention Center District, and a second headquarter hotel brings sustained year-round activity to Clematis Street, the Nora District, Northwood Village, and the broader downtown core. Supporting these local small businesses, these local small restaurants, the cultural institutions and attractions, while enhancing of the quality of life, not just for the visitors, but for your residents alike. This investment further cements West Palm Beach as a premier destination to live, work, play, and now meet. Our ongoing collaboration with the Palm Beach County Convention Center team has already demonstrated the power of this aligned strategy and coordinated destination sales efforts. With the addition of this new hotel, we anticipate the measurable increase in convention bookings, the visitor spending, year-round business activities, and benefits that will be shared across the entire district and county, and most especially with jobs. We're working to help prepare that next generation of hospitality and tourism workers through a lot of our programs, and we're excited to help employ them at this new second headquarter hotel. So again, we are in support of this project today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mayor. Thank you, Commission.
All right, thank you both. Sergio Piedra. Sergio. I'm going to waive. You're going to waive your, okay, all right. You know, if you waive it, you don't get it back. Just saying. Okay. Read some more names. Catherine Griffin, Michael Zeff, Dave Anderson, and Trinette Morris. Catherine Griffin.
Good afternoon. I had this wonderful speech.
Could you state your name for the record, please?
I'm sorry, Catherine Griffin. I am the general manager of the food and beverage operation at the Convention Center. I'm also a resident of West Palm Beach and the Old Northwoods area. Okay. So I work and play here. And I had a wonderful speech written up that a lot of which was just said. So what I'm going to talk about directly are the small businesses that are going to benefit from this expansion. At the Convention Center, we partner with a lot of small businesses so that when our convention visitors come in, that they get a taste of West Palm Beach when they're in the Convention Center. Trinette Morris is one of them. I know she's going to be speaking after that. But we also partner with a lot of local purveyors. Bread by Johnny provides all of our bread. Independent Seafood provides all of our seafood, et cetera, et cetera. The hard numbers that go back into the West Palm and Palm Beach community from this is about $800,000 a year. So those are real dollars that are going to small businesses around here. I'm very much in support of the expansion. Getting larger conventions is going to put more money back into the pockets of these small businesses that work with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Michael Zeff.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. Michael Zeff, President and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce of the Palm Beaches. This project that's before you this afternoon was thoroughly reviewed by our Government Affairs Committee and our Board of Directors, both of whom voted to support this project. This hotel will be a critical piece of tourism infrastructure for our community and will help to support a significant amount of economic development for our city. So we encourage you to support this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dave Anderson.
Hey, Mayor. Mayor, Commissioners, good to see you. Dave Anderson, General Manager, Palm Beach County Convention Center. I have the unique perspective, probably of almost anybody around, because I started April 21st, 2003 as the general manager of the Palm Beach County Convention Center. So I've been able to see the evolution of what I call the campus, and I think that's what Patrick was calling it before, and our evolution from convention center with no hotel to convention center with hotel. So for the first probably 14 years, we ran without a convention center hotel. Our business was good, but it was mostly short-term drive-in business, heavy traffic, which was a concern. And then Related came on board, and they won the bid for the first hotel. So we immediately changed our booking policies to focus solely on room nights. So if you were to book an event at our building, short-term is still welcome. We do a lot of really great short-term businesses, including your annual address. But really, it's all about room nights and driving impact to the community. So since the hotel opened in 2016, we have not had a deficit, an operating deficit at the convention center other than the 2 years of COVID in 20 and 21, and that's it, which is almost unheard of for a convention center in the United States. So not only are we not costing taxpayers money, we're actually driving economic impact through the events that we have in the building. Currently, right now, I have 700 rehabilitation nurses in the building from all over the country. So they'll be at our building during the day, but then what are they gonna do at night? They're gonna go across the street, they're gonna go downtown, and they're gonna experience the best of West Palm Beach. They came into West Palm Beach Airport, which is only 3 miles away, and then of course they stay at the local hotels. Next week we bring in Tony Robbins, and I don't know if anybody's ever experienced Tony before, but you're talking 2,000 to 3,000 people for 5 straight days, and they're here from around, not just the United States, but from around the world. So this is what our business has turned into 12 months a year. And I just wanted to address the parking thing. So with that, actually the number of cars that come into our building has actually decreased because most of our conventioneers are taking Uber from the airport or Lyft to come in. So we have a good plan to manage the traffic, but it has actually come down quite a bit since we moved from more of a short-term to a long-term. So highly support the project, very excited about expansion, which is just around the corner, and I guarantee you that the impact will be felt well beyond the borders of our building. Thanks.
Thank you. 2 more cards, Trinette Morris and Nicholas Bixler.
Good afternoon. I'm Trinette Morris, owner of Trendy Gourmet, and I support this project for a couple of reasons. Kathy and Dave from the Convention Center have said most of what's important, but I want to put some perspective and some names to the businesses that are supported at the Convention Center. I said it at this dais before. I believe that the Convention Center probably supports more small businesses than any other entity in this county. We have been able to bring in, Dave just talked about Tony Robbins. I have Tony Robbins PTSD because it's coming up soon. It's coming up soon, but Robbins this week is about 2,000 people. We've had Robbins in the building when it's been 9,000 people, and we've needed 20 small businesses to support that event. This week coming up, we'll use about 6 to 7 small businesses to support that event. Small businesses that wouldn't normally be able to go into a location like a convention center and for 5 to 6 days literally sell their product to 2,000 people who will be there literally from 7 in the morning to 1 in the morning and will not, they'll go out to other places, but for the most part, we will be their sole provider of food and beverage for a week. So you have small businesses like Dope Vegan, of course, myself, Bakery, Alpha Herbs. We have Los Mexicanos that comes in. That's some more. We have dozens and dozens of businesses who are supported by the Convention Center, and a additional hotel would allow more business, so that in those periods right now where there is no business at the Convention Center or it's dark because the hotel room situation, we now will have more opportunities during the year to sell our product and be visible in a way that we normally wouldn't be able to be visible without a Convention Center partnership. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicholas Bixler.
Nicholas Bixler, 1970 South Dixie Highway. Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, I'm here today to express my general support for this project as a city resident, a downtown employee, and husband of a wife who owns a small business in Flamingo Park. I think this hotel would be a great economic benefit to our area. I'm also uniquely qualified to talk about this project because I actually commute to work on an e-scooter. I go up Florida Avenue through that cut through, up Rosemary, so I pass this project every day. It's a surface parking lot. It does nothing to beautify our city. I believe this is a responsible infill development project. And in sticking with today's agenda item before the CRA, this is the type of community redevelopment that I as a resident am looking forward to in our city, the type of growth that we've all experienced and benefited from as business owners and residents in this city. I think there is, while there is some economic impact with the approval here today, or the potential approval here today, I think that far outweighs the benefits of the additional rooms, the additional tourists coming in, spending their money in our community. So I'd strongly advocate that you support this project here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So the cards, any other questions, comments? Commissioner Warren?
Thank you, Mayor. I recognize that the county is making a significant upfront capital investment. But I also believe that the city, the CRA, and the residents are also stakeholders. And although we are not stroking a check initially, the county is also going to receive the benefit of a convention center hotel, but it doesn't mean that they're foregoing their return on their investment because there is a larger benefit. So I don't know that the city should forego a return on investment for indefinitely. I do believe that a hotel is probably among the best uses of the space. I can't think of a better use at this particular point in time. I do believe that this is one of the best options available. But I would support this with the caveat that we negotiate a long-term benefit for the city. I would not want to stand in the way of this moving forward, but I do not believe that not negotiating because this is the ask and that's just what we should do because it was asked this way, I don't believe that that is necessarily the best choice for us. I believe that we should look into how the city can benefit in the long term before a final decision is made. Not to not do it, but to negotiate on the city and the residents' behalf.
Commissioner Fox?
Thank you. I completely agree with that sentiment. I am so excited that this is moving forward. Thank you to everyone who spoke today. I couldn't be more excited about the prospect of being more competitive, being able to attract different conventions here. But I also know that the county is putting money up front, but they have negotiated a guaranteed payment and revenue stream that will provide, in the words of the county administrator, up to $7 billion over the life of this project. Again, I am not looking for the city to profit from this, but I think we will receive many benefits, but we're also absorbing all the impact with all of our services that this hotel will be using every day, and even more so as more people come. So I would like to see something negotiated that is more similar to what we had in our first agreement, which wasn't nearly as much as we would have collected in property taxes, but at least it is something to ensure that the burden isn't felt by our residents who have to make up the difference. Thanks.
Commissioner Ward?
While I tend to, I want to support this, I think my view is I would like to see, instead of us talking about potential returns on what we originally agreed to, is a commitment from the county to utilize some of the funding that they are receiving for the direct benefit. We're doing great things with micromobility in this city with Jessica. The county needs to step up in that regard and help us with this. It's not about parking, it's about traffic. I feel like, I know that there was the Glideways discussion and it was put on pause, and I'm not promoting one person over another, but I feel like that is where I would like to see more effort, and for you to bring that back to the county commissioners to fully understand what are you going to commit to because of all the traffic that's not just generated by our residents in the city, but everybody else coming here, to update your systems. We're doing our part. We're putting big dollars into that plan. I don't necessarily see the county really acting like they should and really doing what their part right now and actually going forward. I think the traffic signalization is fantastic, and I think some of the other things, but I feel like there's a lot more that could be done to engage and help with the traffic issues that we have in this city, because it's only going to progress because we want more people coming here. And how are we going to move them from the airport to the convention center, throughout the city, people coming from Gardens, Jupiter, Boca, what have you, coming here, all the traffic's over to the island every day. And so that's what I'm really actually looking for, is a commitment to say, no, we're going to play the part of an actual partner and do better when it comes to transit and mobility.
All right, any other comments or questions? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of resolution number 26-23.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing, yes, Commissioner Warren.
I believe that negotiation should be a part of the motion, and that a decision to move forward and approve this without that negotiation would not be the best thing to do at this particular point.
Let me just ask a question on that. If the negotiations are not successful, but the fact that they've negotiated, that's enough for you?
I don't know what successful would be until we actually have that conversation, and there are recommendations that are brought back.
Well, I thought I'd heard that the ask had been made. Mr. Rue, did you say the ask had been made, and to me that sounds like negotiation, but maybe not. An ask had been made and it had been turned down?
Yes. So following the agenda review, I did make a request if there was the ability for the city to participate, city CRA to participate in a pilot or payment in lieu of taxes similar to the county, and the answer was no.
So you're looking for something other than that?
So that was one question. Are there other options that can be discussed and negotiated prior to making a decision?
I'm sure there's several options that we could pursue, just need direction.
Okay, but anyway, so there is a motion on the floor. There's a comment. I don't know if there's that a formal request to the mover to amend the motion?
It is.
I'm not sure that it would be legally appropriate. I'd ask for guidance from our city attorney to add discussion to my motion or add additional discussion between the parties to my motion to approve.
Okay, so there is always the ability for somebody else to add to a motion, but what you have before you is a resolution with a proposed agreement, four-party agreement, that we, the City of West Palm Beach, and the CRA, as this body, agree to waive the provision of an existing agreement that allows us to remove the garage land from the tax rolls. So the agreement's already drafted. The resolution that's before you is, do you approve the chair to sign this agreement to remove the garage land from the tax rolls if certain conditions are met? That's what's before you. They've been negotiated. There's some protections built in there if a hotel convention center is not built, that there would be some restrictions running with the land, that it would be operated as a hotel, and a couple of other things, but it allows for the removal of the property from the tax rolls, and there is no room in that agreement as presented to be modified. The resolution is to approve the agreement.
Mayor, point of order to the...
Yes.
If we decline to pass this resolution as written, what happens?
I suppose we would be, as the other members want, there'd be more conversation. If you don't approve the resolution as is, either there's more conversation to be had or it's done. I don't know the answer to that as I sit here until it happens.
Could an alternative?
Yes. Let me ask Mr. Ugo, are there some time sensitivities to getting this done today?
The time sensitivities, I'm told yes, but that comes from the county. Patrick.
Mr. Rutter?
And Mayor, yes, very much so time sensitivities. We're anticipating getting this to our board next month. The time sensitivity certainly from the current property owner to get a project going, permitted through the city, et cetera. We're on a pretty strict timeline as we speak.
Okay, I don't know if that addressed your question or not, but.
So if we move forward with this motion and and my colleagues do not approve it, I would think that you could potentially negotiate with the county and bring something else to us 2 weeks from now, which would be enough time for the county to vote on it next month.
It wouldn't be 2 weeks. It would be, the next CRA meeting is September 14th.
Okay, I'll move forward with my original motion to approve the resolution 26-23.
Is there the original seconder still on board? Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. I think, does this come back to us in 2 weeks?
No.
No. Okay, so this is up and down. Okay. Been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, like sign. If my numbers are correct, I hear 2 nay and 4 in favor. In my math, that means it passes. Okay, thank you. Item 8. No, that's it. So that's the last item on this agenda. This meeting is hereby adjourned. Thank you all very much.